What up guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here today and I'm back with another video. Now today's video I'm going to be reviewing episode 2 of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Now the first episode that I dropped out, which I dropped out yesterday, it was more of a ranting video mixed in with the review, and I was ranting about the whole, feminist narrative that they're putting in this show. And there was a lot of discourse between, fans and people outsiders talking about how this is going to be very woke and very SJW and very feminist-like. And the last episode did have quite a bit of feminist stuff in it. It wasn't to the most extreme as what we've seen nowadays, because nowadays when you ever see like a movie or a TV show with a female lead in it, there's a great chance that it's going to be a feminist-driven piece of work. And there's nothing wrong with having women empowering stories and stuff. I personally don't have any problems with it, but I do have a problem when they use it to target and attack men and try to belittle them. That's the only time I have a problem with it. They can power up a woman and make her strong and stuff, but they don't have to, belittle men. And as long as they don't do that, I'm fine with it. And luckily, this episode didn't try to harp on and attack anybody. It was just trying to make a story. Though I do think that the story is kind of a little more ridiculous, if I'm being honest. And I'll get into what I mean by that. But at least unlike last episode where she just came off as obnoxious and rude and disrespectful and tried to always be competitive for no reason. This episode she seemed far more normal, far more controlled, and this episode seemed far better because it wasn't trying to push too much of a narrative. It was just mainly trying to focus on the story. Now this episode basically started off with her, after the court case would happen, she goes to celebrate and stuff. She comes into a bar with her friend as She-Hulk. Everybody's cheering her on. They're like, yeah. And this is happening. Her boss comes up to her and says, sorry, we're going to have to let you go because you basically became a public of interest or whatever, because in the court case, when you stopped the lady from attacking everybody, the jury saw you as a hero and they were more likely to vote for you. So they had to fire her, and then she went to multiple different law firms, and each one of them had rejected her for being the She-Hulk, which I think is kind of dumb, because it's like, well, what do you want her to do? Just let those people die by a supervillain? And I get it, they're like, well, it swayed the public's opinion, but I mean, in the end of the day, it's like, what do you want from her and stuff? Is like, well, the other side had a criminal and shit, and they usually buy people out, so it's like, it's kind of ridiculous. And for every law firm to reject her, some are saying, oh, I don't want a circus act and stuff like that. I was like, really? I mean, they're making it sound like, that in every court case she's going to be in, some villain's going to bust in and she's going to have to stop them and show her heroics. Most of the time she's just going to be a regular lawyer. That just seems dumb to be like, and make people say, well, she's a hero, so that means that people are automatically going to be like, she's right and we agree with her, we're not going to disagree with her. So they had that, and then she goes to see her family because they want to see her. One thing I do want to add is when you see her phone, she has a picture of Captain America's ass on it, which, I'm going to be honest, that made me laugh. That was pretty funny that she had Captain America's ass on it, because in the end of the episode, there was like, the after credit scene, and she's talking about, she's crying like, oh, he's a virgin and stuff, and his ass and stuff, and now she has a picture of his ass, which is, it's funny, but it's also kind of weird, because if you think about it, can you imagine a guy having a photo of a Black Widow's ass on his phone? That would be, that would be no bueno. So for her having that, I mean, it's a woman, so I guess they're more lenient on it. But still, I think it was just lighthearted fun. I just want to point that out. But yeah, she does that. She goes to deal with her family. Everybody knows, her situation. Her dad's trying to talk to her and stuff. And she's kind of down in the dumps. So they're basically writing up on the story right now to have more sympathy for her, saying like, hey, look, she did the right thing. She was trying to do something good. She was trying to, even though she didn't want to be a hero, she had to do something. She couldn't just let them die, so she had to do something heroic. And in doing so, it ended up turning and hurting her, which it is a lot of theme in, superhero genre, where they try to do something good, and even when they do something good, they still get like shit for it. And that's just how it works in real life. Sometimes when you do some really good stuff, even then you're still gonna get flagged for it no matter what. So yeah, she had to, deal with the consequences of becoming the She-Hulk, which I do think is an interesting story narrative. Though I do think it's kind of ridiculous to think that every law firm would reject her simply because she's, a superpowered being and she's a hero or whatever. I think that's just too over the top. But she meets with one of the other guys who, in the court case where she was having, when she was going against, he was a part of the law firm that she beat. And he's like, oh, I like what you did, so I want to pick you up for my law firm because you're really great. He gets her there. She comes there. She thinks it's going to be a normal one. but she finds out that no, the only reason he picked her was because she was a superpower, she was a hero, and he wanted to make her the poster child for his company because he had a superhero division, law division. Now, if I'm being honest, superheroes have been around for decades at this point in Marvel. Why wasn't there multiple different law divisions with superheroes in them? Why were most law cases normal, seeing as how a lot of these people that are going to jail are supervillains, and how do you handle a supervillain's case? Wouldn't it be best to have like a superhero, So I feel like the fact that this was the only law firm that had that was kind of ridiculous. Also, they've been having heroes and villains and superpowered beings for such a long time. You would think there would be more than just one law firm that has the superhero division or whatever. So she has that, and then he gives her a new case to handle, and she doesn't really want to do this one because she has to defend Emil Blonsky, also known as the Abomination, and release him from prison. So she's like, I might have a conflict of interest. He's like, it doesn't matter, we signed a waiver, whatever. And then she goes to check with him in prison. And for me, at first, I was confused. I was like, wasn't he in Shang-Chi where he was like in a illegal fighting ring? How is he in a maximum security prison but also there? Which they do touch upon that later on, so that was pretty clever. So this basically means that the She-Hulk, this episode and stuff, like the show, is basically running around the time of Shang-Chi. And I think Shang-Chi is still prior to the Spider-Man movie where, I forgot what it was called, Far From Home, and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So this is before the whole the multiverse messing up and stuff right now. But yeah, she goes there, she goes to check with him, and Emil Blonsky's talking to her, and he's like, you know what, I'm a changed man, I'm a good man, I feel bad for what I did. He even writes a haiku for the victims, which is like, no, we don't have to hear that. I love that part. I thought that was funny. I was like, yeah, I don't want to hear it either. But yeah, she didn't want to hear that, but he was explaining his case, and she felt more sympathy for him, and he basically explains that he did those things because the government wanted him to do it. She's like, well, you destroyed a city and killed a bunch of innocent people. That wasn't the government's issued order. And he said, well, they injected the super soldier serum into me, and I wanted to be like Captain America, but it manipulated my mind. And here's the thing. I do think he has changed somewhat, but do I think that he's completely turned? No. Because he's trying to blame it on completely the super soldier serum, but if you don't watch the movie, you know that that's complete BS. One, the super soldier serum does not mess up your brain. I mean, look at Captain America. He was still a very good, normal person. And second of all, it wasn't because of that. He was already showing signs of, obviously I would say that the medical surgery that he went through kind of did alter him a little bit more, but he was showing signs of that even prior to it with his, his kind of way towards the Hulk where he thought he was superior and that he needs to put him down because he felt inferior or whatever. And when he got the super soldier serum and the Hulk kicked him into the tree where he had to get even more of a dose, it was on him because he was acting up. So I feel like, he can say that it was the super soldier serum, but a lot of his actions were done through his own volition, and I feel like he's using it as a scapegoat. So I still do think he's a little bit evil. I don't think he's as bad as he once was, though. He also mentioned he has 7 pen pals that are his soulmate, and they bought him a house, which I also thought that was funny. I was like, this guy's a player. He's in prison, and he's already got 7 women lined up for him, and they're buying a match for him. That shit was funny. But yeah. She leaves, and then she's like calls Bruce, trying to tell him, and she's keeping on talking and stuff. And Bruce's like, you know what, I'm okay with it, I'm cool. He actually sent me a haiku years ago. We put that all under the bridge. That was years ago. They fought like in 2008. And now at this point, since it's Shang-Chi's time around maybe 2020 or 2021, but still, that is way, way after, the whole fight against him. So yeah, it would make sense. He's like, oh, I forgive him, it's okay, you can take this job. She takes it, and everything is good there until her boss tells her to watch TV where he's gone and he's fighting the illegal ring. Now I want to know who brought him out to get there. Was it Wong? Because Wong is the only one that can escape through a portal, but why would he do that? Why would he bring him to this illegal fighting ring for? Or did these guys take him? But I remember in the Shang-Chi movie, they didn't seem to have any power to transport somebody from another place like how Wong or Doctor Strange does it with a portal. So I don't know how they did it. They just somehow grabbed the guy and took him out. But that doesn't mean he's bad. He didn't break out himself. Somebody broke him out. And he was kind of forced into this illegal fighting ring. That doesn't mean he's bad. But like I said, I still think he's a little more nefarious than what he's letting on. And probably we might have, She-Hulk fighting against Abomination, and maybe Hulk versus Abomination Part 2. Also, people were wondering, is the last episode going to be the last episode we're going to see the Hulk and we're not going to see him again? We did see him in this episode. I think what's going to happen throughout the show is the Hulk is not going to be having a main presence. Obviously, he's supposed to be about She-Hulk, but he's going to be sprinkled out throughout this, this season. He's going to be here and there just to help out and stuff. He's basically going to be like her supportive role since he knows where she's come from. So we had that. And basically that was the end of the episode. The episode was nothing too crazy. I think it was enjoyable and fun enough for me. It did have some parts where I kind of gave a little bit of a side eye, but compared to the last episode, it was significantly better. There was nothing to really rage about. There was a few dialogues and stuff that I didn't like. Like in the beginning, you have the guy talking to the news reporter. I thought that felt a little cringy, the way he was talking, like, oh yeah, she's like this and stuff. And then, her complaining about the She-Hulk name is just like, you see this all the time with nowadays with comic book writers, and this is what pisses off a lot of comic book fans, where they disrespect the original source material. And one of the things they usually disrespect is the names that they have for them. And I get it, some of the names are ridiculous, like Batman or The Thing or Mr. Fantastic. And She-Hulk does sound ridiculous, but they were just ridiculing it. And she's like, I don't want to be a counterpart of him and stuff. But it's like, what do you expect? He's the original. He's been doing this for years. He's an Avenger. Obviously, they're going to link you to him. That's just what happens in real life, Anytime you're good at something or have a comparison to somebody else, they're going to compare you to it. It doesn't mean that they think less of you. It just usually means that that person's on such a high level that they usually associate you with them. I know getting out of the shadows and stuff, but whatever. But yeah, I just felt like that was annoying. I was like, okay, she's complaining. She's like, I don't want to be associated with under a man's label and stuff. But it wasn't as ham-fisted as Batgirl, where she's like, bitching about Batman and stuff. Like, just shut up, man. Like, shut up. You're stealing his shit and you want to complain about him, whatever. But yeah, this one was less offensive. And then, and the other scene where she's talking about, superheroes are just narcissistic billionaires and this and that, and orphans. The orphans part made me laugh because that is common trope in comic books. But the, narcissistic part, and I remember this was in the trailers and a lot of people have a problem with it. I can see why. Her equating being heroes as to just rich narcissists and all this stuff is just ridiculous. Iron Man gave up his life. Yes, he was a bit of a narcissist in the beginning, but even in the first movie, he learned the errors of his way and got better. And throughout the series, he got better and better as a person. Definitely in the Avengers, and especially towards the ending. And most heroes are not like that. There's only a select few. So it's like, that is such a gross understatement of what a hero is, because a lot of heroes do it just to be good. Like Spider-Man, he's not doing it because he's some rich guy or he's some narcissist. He just wants to be a friendly neighborhood, and Spider-Man protect the people there. So I didn't like that one either. But I would say besides that, I didn't see any real problems with it. Those are just some nitpicky stuff mostly. But for the most part, I think this episode was enjoyable. If they keep it steady like this, where they're just mainly focusing on the story, they can deviate a little bit and talk a little bit about social issues. But when they all I'm asking is just don't ham-fist it. Don't just bash on it and say, men this, men that. Don't do what all these other series do. Definitely do not do what Batgirl did. That show fucking shat itself, and that's why it failed. Just be normal about it, You can put in some feminist ideals, which I'm fine with, and put some, talking about society and this stuff, but don't go so far and overboard and then just alienate another group of people. Personally, I feel like a lot of people overjudged the first episode. I was harsh on the first episode from when it was writing, but I was still willing to give it more of a chance for the rest of it. And if I'm being honest, this episode did do a lot better. I just hope the rest of these episodes are like this one instead of the first one, and hopefully she learns more to, stop being so, combative and competitive about everything. Sometimes you can just be chill. Like, if there's somebody bring up competition, that's fine, but mostly just be chill about it. But yeah, this episode was a significant improvement since the last one with, her character and just the writing in general. So yeah. If it keeps on this way, I'll probably enjoy this. Also, I do want to say this before I end this video off, is she's trying to find a good law firm. I think this law firm is kind of more corrupt and sleazy, so she might get out of it towards the end. And we do know Daredevil's in this show. That's one of the main reasons I was watching the show, to see Daredevil. And Daredevil has his own law firm. His people already know him as a hero. Most people don't know who he is and stuff. But he is the perfect type of lawyer that she would like to work under, because one, this guy is not trying to, he's a good person. He has good morals. He's not trying to use this stuff, and he wouldn't just use her as a superhero. He'll be, using her as a lawyer. So I feel like them introducing Daredevil, obviously we're gonna have a little back and forth with her and Daredevil, which is gonna be cool. And hopefully the Hulk can meet Daredevil. That would be pretty badass. Can you imagine Daredevil fight the Hulk and then like Daredevil showing up and then working with the Hulk? Because he was in the Spider-Man movie. So now he met Spider-Man, he meets She-Hulk and the Hulk. That'd be amazing. But be a really great story point, and I hope they do this later on, is she finds out that she doesn't want to be with them anymore and they're corrupt and stuff like that, and she doesn't care about the money. But Matt Murdock is there, and she knows he's Daredevil, so she knows he's a good guy. She knows what he stands for, and he's also a hero, so he understands where she's at in her life. So she joins his law firm. So it's Matt, Foggy, Karen, or was it Karen? Yeah, Karen, and then Jennifer Walters on their side. That would be amazing, especially since she's actually a good lawyer. Her, Foggy, and Murdoch would be amazing. I think that would be a great way to write it. And that's one of the reasons I think they wrote him into this, is because 1, he's a lawyer, 2, he's a hero, and 3, I think they'll have a connection right there. So I think they're gonna set up with her and him being business partners together, which I think that would be a great idea. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I know you guys enjoyed the last review. Right now I'm at 38 views. Yesterday I only had 1 view for like for 20 hours it was 1 view, and then 2 in the morning I checked 32 views, 35, 38. So it's keeping on steadily climbing. So thank you for the views on my last video. I hope you guys view more on this video too. So thank you for all of you guys watching my video, and stay tuned for next time.